pay tribute to Rosh Hashanah, which is tomorrow morning. So we were honoring that tradition today in our music. And we'd like you to join us on our first sing-along song, I Love Myself the Way I Is. If you would please stand up and join us, here we go.
To the Center for Spiritual Living, Capistrano Valley. I'm Patty Mercado, one of your assistant ministers, and it's my delight to be here today with you and to welcome you to our service where we get to connect, where we get to know the presence of God, where we get to be with each other and recognize that presence within ourselves and within each other. So welcome, welcome, welcome. And we're going to begin with the Flames of Faith. Ah, isn't that a sweet sound? Life. Yes. Life in all of its expressions. Lighting the flames of faith. A call to service. We perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples and all faiths, all sentient beings come from the one great universal presence, which we call spirit. Fundamental to this truth is the unifying nature of all religious thought and experience, which we honor here today. We light the candle for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We light the candle for the shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of primal spirituality. We light the candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light the candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We light the candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. We light the candle for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. We light the candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of compliance with the will of God as the highest calling. We light the candle for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. We light the candle for all forms of New Thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. And as Aidan Greedy, our practitioner, lights the last candle, let it represent the path that brought you here this morning. I invite you to join with me in an affirmative prayer, a spiritual mind treatment. One power, one source, one life, one love, one beauty, one energy, one cause, consciousness, everywhere present in all of its entirety. That one mighty moving power, that one infinite and divine mind, that one creative intelligence, recognizing and knowing itself, expressing itself. Everywhere, therefore right here. In all as all, therefore in me as me, in each one here. The divine, knowing itself and revealing itself. That sacred and holy activity of knowing ourselves and revealing ourselves. I know that we are each one here on purpose and with purpose this morning to recognize and glorify the God within, to know that divine idea, I am that I am, to know that divine idea that God is, therefore I am, to know that each one of us is that living spirit made known. And so the action, the activity of love, beauty, creativity, lives and expresses as, in, through, and by each one of us. And so I know that this morning is already a divine idea, that each one of us has already come prepared to meet that Creator and to know it in a greater way, and that we do so joyously, devotedly, purposely, allowing that light to be ignited in an even greater way. And so with my heart filled with gratitude and appreciation for all that goes into this unfolding, for all that is already made known and that continues to know, I simply let go and allow. I let go and let God have its way. And please join me in knowing this. And so it is. And amen.
Amen.
And let's welcome Jill Burnett up to lead us in our affirmation and the declaration of principles.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
First of all, we'll do our declaration of principles, and then we'll repeat the affirmation, and we'll do this together as it appears on the screen. I believe in God, the one creative intelligence, operating through the universe and operating throughout my entire being, now and always. I believe this perfect spirit operates upon the law of mind and creates my experience exactly according to my belief. I believe this perfect creative intelligence can be used by me and by every other person to produce health, abundance, and love in mind, body, and total life experience. I use it now and I rejoice in it, and so it is.
Today,
I exercise complete confidence in the invisible. I know that new and wonderful ideas will come into my consciousness today, and that I will be compelled to act upon them intelligently. And so it is.
Thank you, Jill. And please welcome our soloist today, Debbie Wheeler. I got a itching on the tips of my fingers. I got it boiling in the back of my brain. I've got a hunger burning inside me, nothing can deny. I got a feeling that the Father who made us, when He was kindling the pulse in my veins, He left a tiny spark of that fire smoldering inside. The spark of creation is flickering within me. The spark of creation is blazing in my blood. I'll lit up the fire that lit up the stars and breathe life into the mountains. Say inspiration, spark of creation. I see a mountain, I want to climb it. I see a river and I want to be sure. Where there was nothing, let there be something. Something made by me. There's things waiting for me to invent them. This world's waiting for me to explore. I am eternal, I am the eternal lion of lethargy. Spark of creation is burning right in me. Spark of creation won't let me rest at all until I discover or feel in a cup the thing that I can call my celebration of the spark of creation. The spark of creation, may it burn forever. The spark of creation, I am the keeper of the flame. Keep going on, a life like a pleasure, perfectly the same inspiration. That's alright if you're a kind of crustacean, but when you're born with that imagination, sooner or later you'll feel the fire get hotter and higher. Spark of Debbie Wheeler.
Thank you, Debbie. That was beautiful. Sometimes I do feel like a crustacean. So today I'm going to talk about divine ideas. Divine ideas. And of course, every idea, everything that we think, everything that we feel, every word that we say is fueled by the energy of the universe. So in theory, it's all divine ideas. But as Dr. Ken said, when he, in his video, he sends out videos every month for the weeks. And as he said, there have been many things that he has created, and we can all relate to this, which we had our whole willpower in place in that creation. And as soon as we turned away and stopped using our willpower, the creation vanished. That would not be a divine idea. A divine idea is going to stay there because of its own, it's already good and very good, as Reverend Patty's meditation was. All of the energy of life itself is energy of goodness, of beauty, of wholeness, of freedom. All of those qualities that we think of as, these are qualities of the divine, All those qualities are in you, in me. It's our real nature. And when we think in alignment with that nature, the creations easily stay in place. So let's just explore this. So who's this?
Einstein.
Albert Einstein, a cartoon drawing of him. He said, I want to know God's thoughts. All the rest are details. All the rest are details. God's thoughts. So that's a very lofty idea. And then, who's this? Mary Morrissey. And Mary Morrissey is a prosperity teacher, and she says, ideas are God's currencies. God's currency. So our currency usually is money, if we're thinking on that level. God's currency, ideas. Ideas are God's currencies. So how do we make ourselves available to divine ideas? Because they're swirling around us at all times. If you think about it, everything always has been. We live in this eternality, and yet even 100 years ago, there were no cell phones, there were no, there weren't any of those things that we just take for granted. I remember watching Get Smart. Some of you older ones will remember that. And, he had a phone in his shoe. And we thought, we thought it was just plain science fiction. Now our phones are in our purses, and they're instantly available. But that idea, the idea itself, has been around since Jesus' time, since the beginning of the universe, the idea. But we just haven't caught it yet. We haven't been open to it yet. So, how do we make ourselves available to divine ideas? You already know the answer to this. Here's a hint.
Meditation.
Yeah, okay, look, we can go back. So, meditation, prayer, study, and focus are spiritual practices. Okay, so cultivating your spiritual practices is how you make yourself open to divine ideas, ideas that fit for you. Cultivating your spiritual practices. Here's a big clue: spend time alone. And that does mean without your devices. Because I can be completely alone, but busy with my words with friends, my Facebook, I can be completely unavailable to divine ideas because I'm so busy inside my head with my devices. And so alone means really alone. Maybe with your journal, but with everything else off. And then daily study. So important to keep reminding ourselves of the great ideas that are all around us. As I wrote in my blog, my daily study has grown over the years, and now I read 3 things religiously. Pun intended. So I read the Current Science of Mind magazine because I love to see what the current writers are saying for the day, so the daily guide of that. Then I read an old Science of Mind magazine. Right now I'm reading a 1951 Science of Mind magazine. Of course, I read the month that we're in. And the writer of this one was a practitioner by the name of Irma Glenn. And evidently, she was really prolific. And so she wrote a lot of things. And then I'm also reading 365 Days of the Science of Mind, which is a daily guide. And I want to read you one of these guides. Good, it's still here. This is from July 28th. And it always starts with a quote, and this quote is from John 14, verse 12. And the quote is, "I imbibe new ideas from the creativity of God, and greater works than thee ye shall do also. I always wondered where that quote came from. Greater works than these ye shall do also. So it was John talking about Jesus' works. And it was chapter 14, verse 12. So the guy goes on to say, Emerson tells us that the Ancient of Days, it is the latest invention. In other words, since God is all there is, the only presence, the only power, and the only mind or intelligence, when we conceive a new idea, we're thinking directly from the creativity of God. And I think Ray and Kimberly are directly plugged in because they have new ideas that are amazing every week that they entertain us with the announcements. And then that's just this much of their creative process, because by nature they're creative. They're both actors, and they're both musicians and singers. And so Ernest goes on to say, we are merely the instrument through which this projection takes place, but we are in partnership with the projector. God really is in the latest invention, the newest song, the latest novel, and the last picture that was painted. And in that feeling, we have the new and greater and better things to come. For God is all there is. There is nothing else besides. God is both the inventor of the game and those who play it, the author and the actor, the singer and the song. It's really good to remind ourselves of the wholeness of that creative process, that both that person that's being receptive to the idea and the thing they're creating is important and is part of the expression of God. So our PR person has been encouraging me to go back and start posting on tweeting on Twitter, because where else would I tweet? Out in my backyard maybe, but anyway, she said she wants me to do more, and I've been really reluctant. I haven't done many for a couple of years, and I used to do them pretty well every week. So I went to Twitter, and what did I see? This amazing commercial, Nike commercial. And I thought, oh, I'm going to show it Sunday morning. It's exactly about divine ideas. And then I read more about it, and it turns out it's a controversial commercial. It's a commercial, so let me tell you, you can look it up yourself. But if you're a football fan and you keep the TV on during the commercials, you've already seen it. It was shown Thursday night, evidently, and it is a commercial about the tagline is, don't think that your ideas are crazy. Ask if they are crazy enough. And what we see is, first of all, we see these kids trying skateboard tricks that are quite amazing, and they're dangerous. And then we see surfers. Then we see this little, this young kid with no legs wrestling in a wrestling match. And then we see someone throwing a football with only one hand. I mean, he only had one hand. He was throwing the football with the other hand. And all of these amazing things. And then, don't ask if your idea is too crazy. Ask, is it crazy enough? But the reason I'm not showing you is because it was the person. See, I didn't even know who he was, because that's how I don't watch football. So I didn't know that this was a controversial player who was speaking this commercial. And by the way, if you just go to Nike's 2018 commercials, they have many. You wouldn't just naturally come up with this thing. But wasn't it interesting that that was the first post I saw on Twitter? It was right there on my Twitter feed. Like, well, where did this come from? Is it crazy enough? Is your idea big enough for you? And are you willing to stick with this idea even though other people might not like it? Even though other people might say, this is a bad idea, or don't do this. That takes courage. And it also takes an awareness of connection to be willing to speak up when something isn't right for you. When I was sworn in as a citizen last month, the federal judge who spoke gave the most amazing speech. And what his theme was is that yes, you get rights and responsibilities as a citizen, but you get rights as a citizen, but you also have obligations and responsibilities. And one of your greatest responsibilities is to speak up when you see injustice, to say, that isn't fair, that isn't just, to speak up, to have the courage of your convictions. And other people won't agree with you. So that's just something to keep in mind. Daily study was where I was, the point I was making, and I will continue. Spend time with like-minded people. Well, you're already doing this. You're already here right now today with like-minded people. You're with people that either already have a spiritual practice or are learning to have a spiritual practice. You're with people who are expanding their consciousness to bigger ideas, to risk, but to be in the arena, to be a participant. That's who's sitting beside you, behind you, and in front of you. Amazing people. When Reverend Patty said, how beautiful you are, what makes you beautiful is your inner beauty. The strength of you, the courage of you, the beauty of you. So spend time with like-minded people, which you're already doing, and I encourage it. And here's a wonderful photo of our prayer wall, which is like-minded people, reminding us of the truth that we are. And then how do you know if it's a divine idea? Ask yourself, does this give me life? When you think of this divine idea, does it bring a smile plastered to your face? Do you feel like, oh wow, I'm more alive because I'm thinking about this great thing that I am moving toward, or that I'm moving in, or that I'm accepting as the truth of myself? From my consciousness, does it make you happy? Does it bring you joy? That's the best litmus test there is right there. Or you could join a fun class. This is a picture of my last class having fun. And that was thanks to Marge Hobbs. I don't see her today, but she'd come back from Egypt with all of these gifts for us. And so that's why the men all have their hats on and the women have necklaces on. And anyway. But here is another something. Something's coming up. Starting October, first Sunday in October, we're going to start a program called Courageous and Conscious Confident Connections. All these C words, and they're all great, but courageous, conscious, and confident connections. And that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be exploring it, and some of you are going to be talking about your process and your experience. And one of the great things that we do during those 5 weeks is we have sacred circles in people's homes. And a sacred circle is simply a place where you can spend a couple of hours with like-minded people in an informal setting at someone's home. And you can explore these ideas and deepen, like you do in a class, there's a more profound sense of who you are because you're sharing. And I understand that from the friendship circles that people in the friendship circles went deep right away first. Now, we don't expect you to do that. We're just saying this is an opportunity for you to explore the ideas that you've been hearing And so what I'm asking you to do right now, not right now, but after I finish talking, that is to make sure you stop at the back of the room and talk to Reverend Carla Shiratis, because Carla is in charge of getting host homes and hosts, co-facilitators, and really, if something in you moves when I'm speaking of this, then that means that's your divine idea. Just like my divine idea came from the Twitter thing because there was something in me. And oh, by the way, Reverend Carla. So yesterday, I'm reading, I'm thinking, I'm on my computer, and I get hungry. And I look in my fridge, there's nothing. Well, it's filled, but there's nothing that appeals to me. So I have to go to the store. I go to Sprouts, and I'm looking around, and nothing appeals to me in the store either. I put something in my cart, and then I see Reverend Carla. I go, that's what I was supposed to come to Sprouts for, because we were supposed to connect. That is how it works. That is how it works. It wasn't about the food that I was there to get. It was about the connection that I would make there. So it's really about saying yes to whatever is going on for you. And there's so many wonderful examples of this in life, in your life, in my life. I love this picture, because those two little girls, or those two children, I'm assuming they're girls, they may not be, are trusting each other. They're trusting each other. And they're connecting with one another. And I think that is what life is about. So, I just said this. I don't have to say it again. And, but there was something else I wanted to say. An example of this would be, there was a few years ago, I read it in one of the Chicken Soup for the Soul books, so it isn't a recent thing, because I haven't bought one of those books for years and years, but really good stories in them. A couple had put together a self-esteem course for children. And this course was going to help children make better decisions in their life. Make healthier decisions, be kinder, be more productive. And they left their other jobs, and so they spent most of their savings creating this course. They lived in Florida, and they saw that there was going to be a convention that would have been perfect for them to introduce their course in San Diego. Mm-hmm. And so they went, oh, it's a divine idea to go, but we have no money. We have no extra money to buy air tickets, to anything. Well, if it is a divine idea, let's just ask, they said. So first of all, he called the airlines. He happened to know an executive that worked for, or somehow connected, said, my wife and I are doing this. We really need to be in San Diego for this time. Would you be willing to gift us the tickets? And the CEO said, of course I would. He said, thank you for asking. Whoops. It's going to get all better because I ordered the cable. Josh figured out a cable that we needed, and it's going to get all better next week. There won't be any cutting out on this mic. Okay. So he said, thank you. Thank you for asking. That allows me to serve you. So see, sometimes we don't ask because we think we're somehow overstepping, but sometimes asking allows people to give their gifts. So not only did the airline say that, the hotel said the same thing, and the hotel was downtown San Diego, and their conference was 30 miles north San Diego. The rental car company all said the same thing. So they got to go and give their gift and present this seminar at a conference that was for exactly that, without spending a cent other than their materials that they had already put together. Why? Because it was a divine idea. It was a God idea. It already had all of the energy and would have continued to, it was a done thing. So, ask yourself, what divine ideas have I said, that's just a crazy idea, that I could now say it's not crazy enough? What big ideas have come to me that I've been pushing away because I'm not ready for that? What if you said, come a little closer, let me examine. It'll be right for you, whatever it is. I know that each one of you are supported by that presence within you to live a magnificent, fully functioning life, right here and right now. And so it is.
And so it is.
And now I'm going to pray as soon as Dan gets ready, but in this holy moment of right now, I recognize and know that truly there is only one. And that divine presence that is all power, all knowing, everywhere, is forever broadcasting its great ideas. And I declare in this moment, in the first person for each one of us, I am open and receptive to the greatest ideas there are. I am open and receptive to God's great ideas for me. I am open and receptive to the next powerful idea that enhances my life, that keeps a smile plastered on my face because it's pure joy living that idea. I know that this is a moment that I accept in a greater way than ever before, the divine idea of perfect health, wholeness, vitality, energy, and aliveness. I know that this is the time right now that I accept in a greater way the greater idea of financial freedom, of prosperity and abundance of every kind. I know that this is the time that I accept for myself in a greater way love and friendship and connection, intimacy on every level that I desire. I know that that thing within me is unlimited and has been knocking on the door of my heart, saying, do this, do this, do this by means of me, for me and as me, because Creator and creation are one and the same thing. I'm so grateful for knowing what I know. I'm grateful for this wonderful day in which to practice. And with my heart filled with gratitude, I simply place this word in the action of law. And please help me anchor it by saying with me, and so it is. And now, Debbie Wheeler.
Thank you so much. This song is called Let Me Fall. You might not have heard it, but just listen carefully to the words. They're pretty interesting. Let me fall. Let me climb. There's a moment when fear and dream
can catch me only if you too must fall away from all these useless fears and chains. Someone I am is waiting for courage. The one I want, the one I will become, will catch me. So let me fall if I must fall. I won't hear your warning. I won't hear. Let me fall. If I fall, there's no reason to miss this one chance, this perfect moment. Just let me fall. Thank you, Debbie Wheeler.
I've known that song for a long time. It always makes me cry. It's very powerful. Thank you, thank you. It's such a good thing for us to remember. And then when we realize that we think we're by ourselves, the presence is what we're falling into. So we're never really alone, but it's only in that alone state that we can really fly. Whew, wow. Okay, if the stewards and other ushers, if the stewards would please come forward, it's time for us to give our tithes, our gifts, our offerings. We're going to read our prosperity affirmation, and then we're going to take a few seconds in silence so we can be grateful. And then we're going to sing Blessed Always, and then Diane's going to follow up with something else to inspire us. Okay. My offering is my acceptance of God as the source of my supply, and it symbolizes my faith in the abundant flow of this supply.
For the arms of God. say Amen. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say Amen.
This is a prayer for peace. It talks about peace in the heavens, peace on earth, peace all over the earth. In honor of Rosh Hashanah, Oseh Shalom. Oseh Shalom, Bimroma, Uyaseh Shalom, Only the one within us all brings you the world. Great peace and joy. We know you hear us so come and love us all. We are one family. May our hope be we
It was a beautiful day, and thank you. I'd like to acknowledge those of you who are in service today or have been in service this week. If that's you, would you please stand so we can give you a lot of love? Thank you, thank you, thank you. I see people here fixing things, and of course our practitioners. And if the practitioners remain standing, these are the people that can change your life, can transform your life, especially if you make an appointment with them so you can get a real appointment, a real session. You can have a taste of that on Sunday by stopping by at one of the affirmative prayer tables or in the Tranquility Room. The people who are in service today are Jill Burnett, Anita Baroldi, Aidan Greeny, and Reverend Judy Chapman. Let's acknowledge our practitioners. And I'd like to acknowledge you. If you're here for the very first time, we have a gift for you. And all you need to do is identify yourself, either stand or raise your hand. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're going to affirm you. He doesn't have to stand if he doesn't want to. Anybody else? If I missed somebody?
Laura?
Laura. Thank you.
Stand up.
We got shyer people today. We're going to affirm you, but we're going to do a very short one. So, please, congregation, please repeat after me. Welcome to our center.
Welcome to our center.
No matter what you've done or where you've been, you are welcome here.
No matter what you've done or where you've been, you are welcome here.
You are a divine idea,
You are a divine idea,
and so it is.
and so it is.
In those green bags, you'll find a little welcome card, and if you fill it out and take it to the bookstore, you'll receive a gift. It's a book of your choice. So again, welcome, welcome, welcome. So happy that you joined us this morning. And I know we have announcements.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Sheinlein. The people are real. The cases are real. The rulings are final. This is Judge Judy.
T-Bone Keister was hired to watch Tiffany Sparkle's dog, Portia. He says he fulfilled his end of the contract, but she refuses to pay. He is suing for wages due. She says T-Bone neglected poor Portia and is countersuing for emotional distress for her and for Portia. All rise. This is case number 1492, Keister versus Sparkle. The parties have been sworn in. Court is now in session. You may be seated.
Mr. Keister. T-Bone? Is T-Bone your given name?
Yeah, my homies give me that name.
I see you find yourself amusing, Mr. Keister. And with a name like that, who wouldn't?
You got that right, Judge.
Mr. Keister, do I look amused?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Keister, what were the conditions under which you were hired to watch Miss Sparkle's dog?
Well, she was going to the Bahamas in July for a destination bachelorette party, and she was going to pay me $100 to watch the dog.
And you were supposed to be with the dog for 24 hours a day.
Well, she said I could be gone for 2 hours to go to church on Sunday, and of course, to Conscious Connections, since it's right after church and in the sanctuary anyway.
And what about the food, fellowship, and friends potluck?
Well, that's the third Sunday of the month, which is next Sunday, not when I was watching the dog.
OMG! Portia is not just a dog. She's my baby.
Miss Sparkle, really? What kind of parent are you? Have you ever been to Reverend Patty's parent forum, like the one coming up this Wednesday, September 12th, from 11:30 to 1?
Well, no, but
I see. And have you ever taken Portia to Kids' Day Out, the play group on Tuesdays from 9:30 to 12:30 with Reverend Patty?
well, that's for children ages 2 to 5, and Portia's 6.5, which is like a gazillion in dog years.
Let us get back to the facts of the case. Miss Sparkle, zip it.
Zip it good.
Mr. Keister, what was the obligation that you agreed to?
I was supposed to stay at her place for 6 days and nights, and on the 7th day I was supposed to get $100.
And did you stay there for the 6 days?
Yeah, I had the lap dog and my laptop open to the Rosetta Stone, and we were working on our Spanish together, you know. Beginning tomorrow night at the center, Claudia Riley will be offering classes in Espanol for the first time ever. In the introductory class, is The Law of Pain, from a book by John C. Maxwell called 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth.
Silencio, Senor Keister.
if you keep wandering off the topic, I'm going to teach you all you need to know about the law of pain. So, did Miss Sparkle pay you the $100?
No, she did not.
Miss Sparkle, did you withhold the payment from Mr. Kista?
I certainly did. My neighbor Cleon said that he had seen T-Bone at One Spirit, the support group for our LGBTQ community. And he invited him back this Friday from 6:30 to 8 p.m.
That's a dang lie. We never only went out for pizza and dog food.
You traumatized poor Portia. She's been inconsolable since I got back from the Bahamas.
She probably misses me. Have you tried talking in Spanish to her?
Enough! Miss Sparkle, it is clear to me that you need to change your thinking.
But how?
Funny you should ask. I hear that renowned speaker and philosopher and birthday boy Wade Woolridge is presenting at Wednesday's Wisdom this week, and his topic is change your thinking. But how?
Miss Sparkle, I sentence you to attend this Wednesday's Wisdom.
No! Don't make me do that.
And I further find for the plaintiff and award judgment of $100 to be paid from Miss Sparkle to Mr. Kista.
Yes, I was treating for that.
But I don't have that kind of money. I spent all my money on Brittany's party at the Bahamas.
Well, if you want more prosperity in your life, who doesn't?
I hear you.
And then I suggest that you attend Dr. Heather's upcoming class on Tuesday nights at 6:30. It's based on her own personal secrets of prosperity.
If you want, I could watch Portia for you. I sort of miss our Spanish lessons together.
Well, I'm gonna take the insert from inside my flyer and go home.
Court is adjourned. Let's celebrate this light of justice with a song.